Hi everybody, this is a very informal video, but I thought maybe you would want a video instead of just written instructions on what I'm expecting from you for your mock trial. Okay, so for your mock trial you need to read the instructions, not just this video, but you will have a whole case to analyze and you will be writing a pretty short report, I would say, not real difficult. And the written instructions, I think, will explain that okay. But for the courtroom part, the courtroom procedures, that's the part that I think could be confusing. You have an option. You can either write out a courtroom transcript, and basically you'd be writing out prosecution and defense attorneys' questions and answers, or you can create a video if you want instead. Now, because of the coronavirus, we're not allowed to integrate and have people over, so you're gonna have to do this with you and your family, or if you have dogs like I do, you can make them your prosecution and defense team. So I'm just gonna give you an example. You'd start off with, Dew's here is our prosecutor, and you would start with an opening statement. And he would say something like, "Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I will prove to you that Jane Smith is guilty of homicide. She was involved in a drug dealing and she shot at officer," I forget his name now, that's written in the officer. And so you do an opening statement. Then the defense would get their opening statement. Rocky here is my defense attorney. Yes, he is. And so then you would have a script for your defense attorney, an opening statement. Then the prosecution would call their first witness. That should be a criminalist. Now you get to pick what discipline you want to study for this project. Firearms, trace evidence, DNA. There's a list that you can choose from. So pick one main discipline, study that, research it, and have the prosecutor ask your criminalist questions about what is your education, training, experience. So they do voir dire first. Then they say, did you analyze this evidence? What are the procedures? So you would list out all the procedures that a criminalist would conduct for analyzing that evidence. What were the results? Now your defense attorney should chime in at some point and objection, and have some kind of objection. Watch Law and Order for those. Though you can get some good objections, or maybe even Google what are some good courtroom or common courtroom objections. And then you'd have to have a judge override, sustain, or overrule the objection. Now you can play these parts yourself or use however many people you have available, but you're not allowed to have people come over right now. So you might just have to be yourself with multiple personalities or something. So you'd have an objection in there. So once the prosecution is done with their criminalist, now the defense will cross-examine. So now the defense gets to ask questions of your criminalist and try to trip them up, make them sound like they messed up the evidence, or you can make up anything you want. You can pretend like the criminalist maybe used to work for another department and they screwed up evidence, and you could bring that up if you want. So the defense should cross-examine, and the prosecution might object. You should have a couple of objections written in there with the judge's ruling. When the defense is done cross-examining, the prosecution will redirect. So they get a chance with that witness again. So again, direct questioning, cross-examination, redirect. Now you choose a second witness. This does not have to be a criminalist. This could be a detective. This could be the forensic evidence tech. This could be the defendant, Jane Smith. But the prosecution is not allowed to call the defendant. So if you want the defendant to be called for your case, the defense attorney will have to call the defendant, okay? So you can have the prosecution rest, and now the defense can have a chance to call someone. And we repeat the entire process: direct questioning, cross-examination, redirect. Once you're done with all that, closing statements. For the closing statements, the prosecution goes first, the defense goes second, and the prosecution gets the final word in a trial, okay? If you're confused, send me a message, but you can either write this out as a script or you can wing it like I'm doing, but you should have some kind of guidelines. For sure, the part that you really need to focus on is the criminalist part. What do they do when they analyze the evidence and things like that? You can make up stuff. So I'm providing you with a lot of information, but you can make the results whatever you want. You can make Jane Smith appear guilty or innocent. Now she's going to trial, so there's got to be a little bit of reason why she's going to trial. So, but you have creative licensing to add any extra stuff you want. Shoot me a message if you have questions. Please don't wait to the last minute. You have several weeks to work on this, and if you wait till last minute, it might be hard to get it done. So I'll talk to you later. Bye.